open the floor for our friend Dave Edmond. So.
Thank you. So.
1 second, Dave, I'm sorry.
Oh, yep, sorry.
When you see me go like this, do you see what I'm doing?
Yep.
Okay, so that means you have 1 minute left.
Cool.
I'm sorry I didn't let you know that.
I noticed when Ruth was presenting that we had not talked about how to do a 1 minute.
Yes,
thing,
yes,
so.
I apologize, because this is my own little crazy way of letting you know. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, actually, I too had to try to sort through some stuff and narrow some things down. And I actually have a stack of things that I could pull some quotes from next to me. But I really first want to just start out with, you know, how much things have changed, I think, not just for me, but for all of us collectively over the past 3 or 4 months. And, you know, like my work situation is different. I'm working from home now. I'm doing a lot of Zoom meetings and things like that, which, you know, is a lot different from before. And, you know, I'm watching all this, I don't know, anxiety and polarization. And actually when Ruth was talking about just a minute ago about the way her activism was before, and like, I am working to make the world be the way I see that it should be. And when I hear that, and then I'm picturing a lot of this polarization that's going on in the world around us. So something that had kind of become reinvigorated for me starting about 4 months ago, as far as meditation practice, and by meditation I mean not just, I mean dhyana in the sense of our formal practice, but also in the sense of bringing the practice into our everyday lives. Something that had really started to resonate with me is working with the practice of questioning. So there are different ways that that's presented in different teachings, but what has resonated most for me is basically working with the question, what is this? And so how that's presented as a meditation practice is, for instance, I'll sit and I'll be following my breath, feeling the breath in and out. Sensations, sounds, you know, stay present with whatever the direct experience of the moment is. And then introduce the question, what is this? And that can ride along with the breath, like in, out, can be what on the in breath, is this on the out breath, something like that. But a key point in that is that it's not about coming back with a conceptualized answer. It's about coming back to the direct experience of the present moment. And it's about kind of using the questioning as a way of opening up our concepts and our views and coming back to direct experiencing. So several things have crossed my path over the past few years. That questioning practice was something I originally had come across about 15 years ago. And it resonated, but I didn't dig into it a whole lot. And I've come back around to it more recently. And actually, because this came up last time, I want to pull something out of the teachings from the ancient Vietnamese Zen masters document that we talked about last time. And this is on, looks like page 74. It's under number 31, Zen. And about the third paragraph here says, keeping the precepts firmly, then you practice Zen. The key of Zen is that you must drop all notions of body and mind. First, while practicing the samatha meditation, you should often ask yourself some questions. Where did this body come from? Where did this mind come from? While the mind doesn't really exist, where did the body come from? While body and mind are emptiness, where did all things come from? All things don't really exist, because while there was no existence at the beginning, where did existence come from? That existence was non-existence, so there is no existence. A thing is not really a thing, then where does each thing depend on? If there is nowhere to depend on, then a thing is not a thing. This thing is not real, but also not unreal. And so it's touching on the questioning practice there, and actually expanding how we can work with those questions. But a key thing here is dropping all notion of body and mind, dropping those ego ideas that we can have of self and other and world, and coming back to that direct experience in the moment. And one way that has related to me in terms of what's been going on in the past few months is another thing that I came across that reminded me of what's known as two learning styles. I think Jean Piaget originally identified these, but so it's not specifically Buddhist, but it does relate. The two learning styles of assimilation, where we assimilate new information into our existing belief system or existing way of understanding the world, and then accommodation, where we take in new information and we actually transform our way of understanding ourselves within the world. And so much of the Buddhist teachings and practices are built around, transforming our views of ourselves and the world, and transforming in the sense of kind of relating back to that accommodation style of learning. The reason I brought that specifically up is because I'm seeing this playing out in myself, and I'm seeing it playing out in the world so much over the past few months, where I think there's an easy tendency to want to shelter ourselves from things that undercut our way of understanding the world. The accommodation style of learning is unnerving at times. It can be a very insecure place. It can be a very difficult place. And for me, when I notice that coming up, it's very important to come back to my body, my breath, the mindfulness and meditation tools that we always use. Coming back to the breath, coming back to the moment, coming back to the direct experience of the moment. And that goes right along with the meditational questioning practice too, is coming back to the direct experience of the present moment. Actually, I'll touch on one other quote, if I can find it real quick, from Stephen Batchelor, actually. And he says, the early Zen masters had no time at all for notions of an ultimate truth that lies beyond our ordinary experience. Instead, they sought to recover the simplicity and primacy of the experience we're having in this body, in these senses, in this flesh right now. That's where we begin. And then he says a little further along, it's that kind of questioning that goes beyond intellectual curiosity or puzzlement and has become a vital, embodied perplexity in which we can no longer meaningfully distinguish between body and mind. And he's referring to the gateless gate. Compiler woman Hukai says that the questioning must be with our entire body. Anyway, so that's basically where I've been at, working with the questioning practice and the meditation, coming back to the direct experiencing of the moment, thinking about what Thich Nhat Hanh says in Zen Keys about the taste of the tea, coming back to the taste of the tea, I didn't pull that out to read that quote to y'all, but I remember that from Zen Keys years ago. That really resonated with me. So, yeah, I see. Is it 1 minute warning, or did I miss the 1 minute already?
1 minute warning.
So it's just kind of reinvigorating my own practice, my own sitting meditation, and also remembering to come back to a willingness to be unknowing in any of the moments of my day. There's I've experienced a lot of anxiety at times, so that can be a difficult thing to do. And so, yeah, I'll stop there because I could ramble after that. Thank you.
Just in time.
Ah, perfect.
I would like to bow in. This is Sandra.
Hey, Sandra.
A really good talk, and I connected with that experience because in the last probably year, I have started, we have to, in the charts, the patient charts, we have to do a spiritual assessment. And so, sometimes the visits are very brief. And so when I'm sitting down at the computer and I'm going, okay, was the patient in good spirits? Or, and if I feel that that was the case, I'll start to write that. But then I've been asking myself, well, how do I know that? So that how do I know has been my question that I use for everything, because I think we have a tendency to, okay, I see a smile, and therefore I place this whole story on that person and I run with that story when in fact I may have totally missed the boat for the needs of that patient or staff member or whatever. So yeah, it's a powerful, powerful tool.
Yeah. Actually, I love that. How do I know? Yeah, that's ask the question, what is this? And then answer, don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just had a fast question. Thanks, Dave. That was really interesting. Well, two questions actually. So assimilation and accommodation. So accommodation is when you receive some point of view or some thought that is like discordant or doesn't fit with your mental model. How you fit that in? Is that what you're talking about there?
The idea there is that in the assimilation, we're assimilating information into that existing way of understanding, and then with accommodation, we're accommodating our own way of understanding. Our understanding is accommodating the new information and changing our understanding itself.
Yeah. Okay. And so a big problem is the lack of accommodation.
Right. And of course, a big part of that there is our own emotional defenses that can get riled up when information doesn't fit our existing views, and so we can become very defensive and protective, and there's anxiety and anger and all these different things, which also relate back to a lot of polarization that we're seeing, polarization of views, and in so many different ways around the world and around the country these days. And for me, that's a reminder to practice compassion for myself and for others, and remember that actually Ruth hit the nail on the head when she was talking about remembering that others may not have ever come across any teachings to even begin to understand this fluidity of things. No, I have come across these teachings and definitely still working on it. So
the second question I have is the Bachelor quotes you were doing, was that from one of his books or was that from a talk? Or
so actually the original thing I came across with was in this edition of Buddha Dharma.
Oh, okay.
And the article that's in there is actually adapted from a chapter of Stephen and Martine Batchelor, this book.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And I can actually send you the like Amazon link for this
okay.
book. And it's by both both Stephen and Martine, both of whom are teachers whose teachings really resonate for me, and I've been working with a lot recently.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Trail bowing in. Yeah, I do have a question as well. And the first reading, was that from the book that Elena presented last time we got together? Is that correct?
Oh, actually, it is not. It is one of the ancient Vietnamese Zen masters, though. And when she was talking about that book, that's when I brought up this other PDF document, which Craig sent out in an email about a week ago. And it's the teachings from ancient Vietnamese Zen masters. And it actually has poems quoted from quite a few of the different ancient Vietnamese Zen teachers. Elena was talking about Tran Nhan Tong, and he's one of the ones that's in here.
Got it.
Tell you, if you I sent out a follow-up after our practice 2 weeks ago, and in there I included a link to it. So if you can find that, you can download it from that.
Okay.
And if you can't, let me know.
I will. Thanks. Great.
Stuart, bowing in.
Okay, go ahead, Stuart.
Yeah, I don't know how this fits, but sometimes I think it's part of accommodation. Sometimes when we receive new information, we don't change. We reinforce our current beliefs by rejecting the new information.
Yes.
And that's the tricky part of it, is what's coming in is true and what's coming in is not true. And what's coming in is true that we don't believe. And what's not true that we do believe.
Yeah.
Complicates the whole process.
It does. And of course, as Sandra was saying, how do I know? New information comes in and I think I understand something, but how do I know?
Yeah. So you always have to accept that you could be wrong. Yeah.
And actually that right there is a key point in that practice, is realizing that we're always just forming a particular view of things based on our perspective and existing knowledge and so forth. And that there's always more to the picture. That like the 5 blind men that all were touching different parts of the elephant. And it's not that they were wrong. One was touching the tail, one was touching the ear, et cetera, et cetera. It's not that any of them were wrong. They just only had their one part of the picture.
Yeah.
Nice segue back to the elephant picture, by the way.
Yeah. I love that story.
Yes.
And I think it goes
okay.
back to being subjective versus objective.
Right.
We always have a model of the world. We don't have the world.
Right.
I'll bow out another time.
Elena bowing in, just briefly, I wanted to mention that all of these concepts of how views, our views and the views that what we have, our opinions, whether right or wrong, we kind of hold on to them. And, so the learning styles, all this is mentioned in the Brahmajala Sutra, where the Buddha is talking about views, and talking about how views shape our world based depending on our willingness, sort of. And this is, of course, the sutra is like lengthy, but in a nutshell, how we shape the world according to our need, according to our beliefs, and according to our understanding or lack thereof. So that's a wonderful piece of the Buddhist scriptures to read, the Brahmajala Sutta. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.